several claims of capturing 2 Indian Air Force pilots, including a reiteration by Pakistan's Prime Minister Imran Khan. The Pakistan Army has now claimed and clarified that it only has 1 pilot, Wing Commander Abhinandan, under its custody. In a tweet, Pakistan's Army has said, and I quote, "Wing Commander Abhinandan is being treated as per norms of military ethics," unquote. Now, this after it released several videos of the Indian Air Force pilot in custody through the day. Reacting to these developments, the Ministry of External Affairs has summoned Pakistan's acting High Commissioner, lodging a protest. Later, the ministry has issued a statement in which it said, and I quote, "India strongly objects to Pakistan's vulgar display of an injured personnel of the Indian Air Force in violation of all norms of international humanitarian law and the Geneva Convention," end of quote. India also said, and I quote again, "Pakistan would be well advised to ensure that no harm comes to the Indian defence personnel in its custody. India also expects his immediate and safe return," end of quote. Earlier during the day, the Indian Air Force detected Pakistan's attempt to target Indian military installations and foiled those bids, according to the government. Now, the Ministry of External Affairs says that during the operations today, the Indian Air Force shot down one of Pakistan's fighter aircraft, but lost 1 MiG-21 Bison. Let's hear out the Ministry of External Affairs spokesperson Ravish Kumar on the operation between India and the Pakistani Air Force this morning.
The Pakistan Air Force was detected and the Indian Air Force responded instantly. In that aerial engagement, 1 Pakistan Air Force fighter aircraft was shot down by a MiG-21 Bison of the Indian Air Force. The Pakistani aircraft was seen by ground forces falling from the sky on the Pakistan side.
Well, that is the briefing held by the Ministry of External Affairs, where they did confirm that there is 1 Indian Air Force pilot missing in action now, in the statement issued by the Ministry of External Affairs, accusing Pakistan of vulgar display of the Indian Air Force pilot, confirming and acknowledging that he is in Pakistan's custody. Parikshit Luthra, who's been tracking this story, joins us now with more details. Parikshit, we saw that very short briefing that the Ministry of External Affairs held earlier today, but you've been able to piece together the operation that took place this morning involving the Pakistani Air Force and the Indian Air Force. On the basis of the credible information that you do have, can you explain to us what transpired?
Well, we're told by our sources in the government and in the Indian Air Force that it all began at around 10 or 10 a.m. this morning when F-16 fighters from Pakistan violated the Indian airspace. We don't know exactly where, but they did manage to enter Indian territory to some extent. They were immediately intercepted by Indian fighter jets, which were scrambled. They engaged all the Pakistani fighters immediately. There was a lock-on by one of our pilots with an F-16, and that F-16 was brought down by an R-73 missile. This is what we are given to believe by our sources. Our forces, the Indian forces, saw the Pakistani fighter jet coming down. There were 2 parachutes that were also seen. So India is saying that they have a good idea, a fair idea that the Pakistani jet fell in Pakistani territory. Unfortunately, we lost 1 aircraft in that operation. Wing Commander Abhinandan is the pilot who had who fell in Pakistani territory, and he was taken in Pakistani custody as well. There is also other unfortunate news which we must tell our viewers about. This is not connected to the IAF operation and the Indian Air Force and the Pakistani Air Force engagement this morning. This is the crash of the Mi-17 V5 helicopter. Sources telling us this took place at about 10 a.m., 10 minutes after takeoff near Budgam, Srinagar, and all 6 air warriors on board have died. That is indeed very, very tragic news. A court of inquiry has been ordered. The IAF nor the government telling us what was the reason for the crash. It is being attributed to technical reasons for the moment. There has been a very strong response from the Ministry of External Affairs. The acting High Commissioner of Pakistan to India, he was summoned to the Foreign Office, and there was a strong objection to the vulgar display of Wing Commander Abhinandan before the media, and how that entire questioning process was recorded on camera. This was against the Geneva Convention, and India immediately pressed for his release and said that he should be released at the earliest and he should be given the respect considering his rank, and he should be given the treatment befitting an officer. There has been a lot of concern shown by a number of foreign powers, all of them saying that there should be immediate de-escalation. We had Imran Khan saying that if war breaks out, it will not be in the control of either Narendra Modi or Imran Khan, and they must sit across the table and talk. We're yet to see a response from the Indian Prime Minister and the Indian government to that.
Parikshit, very quickly, I just wanted to get what you're hearing on our engagement with Pakistan now that we have acknowledged the fact that Wing Commander Abhinandan is in Pak custody, which was the claim that Pakistan had made through the day today. You know, the Ministry of External Affairs opening a line of contact with Pakistan for his safe passage?
That's right, and we must tell our viewers that it seems that the Indian government has identified the Ministry of External Affairs as the nodal body as far as sending out a message to Pakistan and the global community is concerned. And that's why we've been seeing top diplomats speaking every now and then. What we are told that when the acting High Commissioner was called, he was given a dossier with details of Jaish-e-Mohammed group in Jammu and Kashmir, also their terror activities and training camps in Pakistan, Pakistan's complicity in this terror attack as well. And the acting High Commissioner was asked to convey to the Pakistani government that immediately all these terror groups must be acted against. As far as talks with Pakistan in the days to come, yes, we've opened a line as far as Wing Commander Abhinandan is concerned. We have told the Pakistani government that he should be safe, he should be returned immediately, and you cannot display him in front of cameras like this. This is in complete violation of the Geneva Convention. So we've owned up. We've also sent out a message that we have only one pilot which is not accounted for. Only one pilot has gone missing, and that is Wing Commander Abhinandan. They are not two pilots. I think with that diplomatic offensive, India managed to put pressure on Pakistan to make that clarification that they have only one pilot in their custody and not two, as the Pakistani army and the government were claiming earlier. India is saying this is also a mind game, a psychological pressure that the Pakistani army and the Pakistani government were trying to create. Whether there are back-channel negotiations going on at the moment, it's quite possible. Whether there will be a dialogue opened with Imran Khan, it remains to be seen.
Absolutely, it remains to be seen, but you're absolutely right on the psyops that have been conducted by the Pakistani army. But now, important, as Parikshit was pointing out, clarifying that there is only one Indian Air Force pilot, not two, as was being claimed earlier, in Pakistan custody. Now, leaders of 21 political parties held a meeting today to discuss the ongoing tensions between India and Pakistan. While the leaders lauded India's action of airstrikes on terror camps across the line of control, they did express regret that the Prime Minister has not convened an all-party meeting in wake of escalating tensions on the border. The leaders unanimously condemned Pakistan Army's actions of targeting Indian military installations today and expressed concern over the safety of the missing pilot. Here's Congress President Rahul Gandhi reading out from the statement issued by the 21 opposition parties.
The meeting of 21 parties expressed their deep anguish over the blatant politicization of the sacrifices made by our armed forces by leaders of the ruling party. National security must transcend narrow political considerations. The leaders observed that the Prime Minister has regrettably not convened an all-party meeting as per the established practice in our democracy.
Opposition parties united with the government, but also saying this is an issue that should not be politicized for electoral gains. What should India do now? Should there be escalation control measures? Is there the possibility of escalation from here on? Or should we refrain from reacting any further at this point in time? Those were the questions that I posed to former diplomats and defense veterans. Take a listen.
Pakistan should learn a lesson that they're extremely vulnerable, and therefore if they try these games again, their air force can be very badly hit. Now, whether matters will stop here or whether the Pakistan would wish to escalate it further, my own feeling is that India at this point in time need not react further, because we have actually taught them a lesson. Now Pakistan will use our pilot as a bargaining counter, what kind of bargain they would want to make. The dialogue that Imran Khan is suggesting is utter nonsense, because the issue is not dialogue. The issue is Pakistan's credible, verifiable action against terrorists, and that's the reason why we went in and attacked Balakot. Therefore, if they want a dialogue with India, they cannot use the pilot as a bargaining counter. They have to show that they are going to act credibly on the issue of terrorism. And then, yes, we've always said that we can, our doors for a dialogue are open, provided Pakistan deals with this problem of terrorism.
Dialogue is possible in an atmosphere free of terrorism, which is our position. So you please give us proof first that you have taken care of all the terrorist organizations and you have rooted out terrorism from your soil and eliminated all the training grounds, etc., which is of course run with the connivance and help and full support of the army. I believe even the trainers in Balakot could have been ex-army, personnel, etc., which is the normal thing that happens in these training grounds for the terrorist organizations. So I think Imran Khan is sort of wasting his breath without actually getting the support of the army. That let him first say that we are serious, we will root out all the terrorism. Let him begin by saying that first, and then providing some tangible proof, because we have seen this for decades now. We have seen this for decades, and I don't think anybody is going to take Imran Khan for his word.
We have to be implementing the military measures in place, concurrently carrying out diplomatic effort. See what happens. Earlier we lost time and ended up with the world community coming up against us. That is what exactly is happening. Now, yesterday after our strike, there was no one who blamed us for anything. But today we have comments coming in from Russia, from China, asking both of us, India as well as Pakistan, to de-escalate. So this is what is the problem. This has always been the root cause of the problem. If we have the will, if we have the potential, we have to address the root cause of the problem. It has to be a comprehensive, continuous effort in one singular dimension, leading to the conclusive end of what ails us.
I'm recommending restraint. It's easy to talk about escalation, but you go in for any operation with clear objectives. What were our objectives? Our objective was to send a message and destroy a camp. Now, having achieved that objective, you can escalate or you can wait for reaction. If you wait for reaction, and if you're stronger, you can afford to wait for reaction. If you're weak, you should not. We have the capability to absorb such setbacks. We do not have any clear objective. If we had any more in terms of terrorist camps, some more, I think the action would have been taken against that. It is based on actionable intelligence. It's actionable intelligence which should be available. So we just cannot go for a war.
The Pakistani action today was provocative and escalatory. We had not struck any target of the state of Pakistan, military or civil. We had struck a terrorist facility, and it was a preemptive strike. Imran Khan has been put forward by the military to really show the world that they are a reasonable people, that they are being very cautious and careful. There's a wide difference between their actions and Imran Khan's words. So now their object is to draw in international opinion, the intervention of the great powers.
Does anybody expect that Pakistan and its Prime Minister will indeed walk the talk towards peace? We would be naive to even imagine that. Possibly an engagement took place, and when that engagement took place, one F-16 was downed, and unfortunately one of our MiG-21s is missing. This is the result of a particular engagement. There is nothing wrong in it. Is it provocation? I'm not sure. What else could Imran Khan and Pakistan have done to show that they also mean a little bit of business? They couldn't have just taken yesterday's activity lying down. They had to take action. And they have taken this, which I think to large measure is a limited action. Will it stop here? Will it escalate? We will have to wait and watch. We have to be conscious that it could escalate. And we have to be careful with our defenses and our plans to take action as and when there is a chance of its escalation.
Well, a lot of opinion there, but most suggest that this is time for calibrated response. This is time for escalation control, and that is what most former diplomats and defense experts are suggesting at this point. Well, the big international story, 8 months after their handshake in Singapore, US President Donald Trump and North Korea's Kim Jong-un met in Vietnam today. Both leaders had dinner, and Trump has hailed Kim Jong-un as a great leader and said North Korea has tremendous economic potential. He's also offered economic help if North Korea agrees to denuclearization. Trump also went on to have a face-to-face sit-down meeting and claimed that the first summit was a big success and there is big progress in the relationship. CNBC's Imon Nave's reports from Vietnam's capital Hanoi on the significance of the summit and what it can potentially achieve.
Yeah, that's right. We've seen an intimate meeting here between President Trump and Kim Jong-un. That dinner, as you mentioned, is still going on, so they are behind closed doors. Each man with 2 of his top advisors and a couple of interpreters in the room for the dinner here in Hanoi in the former North Vietnam. The president, though, has been making his pitch to Kim Jong-un today as an economic pitch as to what could happen to North Korea's economy, maybe something similar to what's happened here in the former North Vietnam. Here's what the president said earlier today.
I think that your country has tremendous economic potential, unbelievable, unlimited. And I think that you will have a tremendous future with your country, a great leader. And I look forward to watching it happen and helping it to happen. And we will help it to happen.
It's really been an air of spectacle here in Hanoi. Crowds gathered along the motorcade routes for both leaders over the past couple of days as they've been moving around the city. We expect to see one more movement here tonight, and then they'll button up for the evening and carry on again tomorrow.
Imam, thanks very much for joining us. That's the latest on that big international story. But back home, the National Drug Regulator has upped its ante on anti-cancer drugs. The National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority, the NPPA, has invoked extraordinary powers in public interest and has bought 42 anti-cancer drugs under price control. Select 42 anti-cancer drugs have been identified as essential to cancer treatment by the Ministry of Health. Archana Shukla joins us now with the details. Archana, what's the assessment of the benefits that patients will get on account of this?
Well, the government has invoked Para 19 in public interest, citing high out-of-pocket expenditure for cancer hospitalization, which in certain cases is almost 2.5 times higher than the overall average hospitalization expenditure, as the reason for price control. However, it is an experimental move. It's a pilot for proof of concept to bring non-scheduled drugs under price control. So instead of going ahead with a blanket price cap, the government has undertaken the trade margin rationalization approach and has capped trade margins of 30% for 42 drugs at the price to stockist level or at the distribution level. Remember, this is similar to what the government had done recently with certain medical devices. Well, this step is absolutely with good intention and much needed owing to the increasing cancer burden. However, in the initial reading of the list, there are several ambiguities that emerge that will need clarification by the authorities. Firstly, this is not a conventional approach, and it is unclear what was the basis of selecting these 42 drugs for trade margin rationalization. Some of the really high-priced big cancer drugs like Merck's cancer immunotherapy drug, pembrolizumab, have been not included in the list. It's not part of the list. Some of the drugs are old, others are new. Some are absolute monopoly, like Novartis's blood cancer drug nilotinib, brand Tasigna. Many other drugs like lung cancer drug erlotinib have large competition. So the competition products are sold at different discount points. So how will the trade margin rationalization work in these cases is unclear. Remember, cancer drugs follow a very different trajectory of sales channels and are in large part institutional, but are also sold through various other channels. Sometimes they're even sold directly to patients. So in many cases, we don't know what the common price for distribution is. And currently, the government has not shared the price comparison for any of the 42 products listed here. Hence, ascertaining the exact extent of price benefit to patient is difficult at this point in time. While the government claims that the tentative savings to consumers would be more than 105 crores and savings across more than 100 brands is expected to go up 80%, it still merits a detailed review. However, no question on the intent for going ahead with this price control.
All right, Archana, many thanks for joining us. With that, that's the latest that's coming from the NPPA. We need to wrap up this edition of What's Up. Thanks very much for watching. But next, we turn our attention to the markets. Wild swings on the Lal Street once again as tensions rose along the line of control. The markets did give up gains in late trade, ending with minor losses, though mid-caps ended with marginal gains. Markets today bordering on tension. Our special broadcast takes the action forward. We see you in 30 on India Business Hour.